Hello there! Welcome to my Stream Archive series, where I mine my old Twitch VODs for usable content. I'm breaking the VODs down to bite-sized chunks, so each stream will be represented in multiple parts. This first stream covers building two different maps. One, a simple forest using an existing biome, and another creating a new sand dunes biome. In part 1 here, we'll be doing just a tour of the basic terrain setup to get ready for terrain editing. So enjoy, and I hope you learn something. Where to start? Well, first, you install the software. I have a video in the works for that. You put down a TaleSpire terrain node. That's where you're going to do all of your work for building a terrain. First thing I like to do is save my files somewhere. So, save as. And we can do some Houdini tips along the way too, maybe. So, I like to have my work TaleSpire folder. And this is all the different stuff I've done, project-wise, and there's multiple things in some of these directories. You can bookmark a directory for yourself. I think it's just this little plus directory. Add selected directory to favorites. So whatever directory you're in, you can add that as your favorites, and then you can just click on that to get there quickly. It's nice and handy. So we're going to do new folder in my work area, and what are we going to call this? I probably have something called example terrain, but we're just going to call it example terrain. Example terrain v001.01. That's my naming convention. I've been doing visual effects for many years, and it's kind of a standard naming convention you run across, having two different versions. You have your major version and minor version. It's just the way I work. You can work however you want. So, first we want to decide how big we want our map to be. This is the default size, 128 by 128. It's a decent size map. It's a nice one to play around with, so maybe we'll just keep it at this size. I've done maps as small as 60 by 60. They've been very popular. My little Forest Gully map, a couple other ones I've done at that size, and people seem to really like them for just random encounters and stuff. I call them my encounter maps. Even though I have started to do some a little bit bigger. Let's do 150. Switch it up. Yeah, you start with this, and then you modify it into what you want it to be. You do that. Oh, name the terrain too. We'll just keep on the theme and call it example terrain. We'll call it example forest. And right now, as it is, you can essentially create this default terrain. To do that, you just hit build cache terrain tiles. There's already a sample biome set up, so this node's basically ready to go. And then you can turn off this display height field terrain, and then turn on tiles, and then display props. And so already we have like the basics for very simple forests. All we have is grass and dirt tiles, and cliffs and trees. Very, very simple. But we don't want to go with the simple biome. We want to go with it a little bit more advanced. So I'm gonna turn these off, and we'll go back to the height field terrain. And to edit that, you go into this edit terrain area right here. So now we're in the terrain editing area. This network, you can change anything in here. The main thing to keep is these purple nodes at the very top and very bottom. Those are your inputs and outputs. The very top one is the base terrain, which is wired directly into this operator that does nothing, and you got a flat pane. Now you're going to see a ghosted image, and what that is you're seeing like the final result from the very top, this network. So to make sure that we don't see that, you can go up to this little, it's like a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere. By default, this is on ghost other objects, but you can hide other objects, so you're only looking at the geometry that's in this network that you're viewing. So now you can see just this plane, and this is where we're going to start our terrain. Let's go over what these nodes do for this base terrain. this very simple setup. It's the height field noise. So we're using the height field tools in Houdini to create our terrains, and it is a height field, so you can't do overhangs and whatnot. You can do overhangs with the system, but it's a little bit more advanced. Get to that some other time. All these height field tools are stuff that's built in with Houdini, and if you hit tab in a network, you get all these different categories of nodes you can use. Most of the nodes we're interested in are all in this terrain category here. So you have all these height field operators, and there's a lot of them. There's some good tutorials online for how to use these tools just from Houdini. You don't need my tool set. You know, this stuff comes with Houdini. I kind of just built a framework around the existing Houdini nodes and workflow so that you can easily use them to create stuff for TaleSpire. Height field noise. So this is one of the height field operators. This basically takes the incoming thing and adds noise to it. Very simple. Let's take a better look at this. You know, you have amplitude, element size, which is like the frequency of the noise. So if you go smaller, it's going to get higher frequency. Bigger, it's going to get like, you know, lower frequency. You can scale each component separately if you want like noise going in a specific direction or whatnot. And you can offset it. You can, you know, play around with the offset to come up with a unique look that you want. There's different types of noise. There's, you know, the maximum octaves you want to use. All that good stuff, and we'll leave some of this other parameters for another day. What I wanted to do with this map was make it so it was really quick and easy, because this is a simple biome. So I want to use this slump node, which takes, as you can see here, takes all these peaks and it will fill. Oh, there's a mask on there. Let's go down to there so it clears the mask. Takes all those peaks and fills in the bottoms, like as if dirt has accumulated in these areas. But Slump needs more data. You can't just run it by itself. It needs this flow field data. And what flow field does is it calculates how essentially water would run off of these surfaces and which directions. It's showing pathways that the debris or water would take, and it's also taking there's vector information to show which direction it's going. It's not displayed here, but that's in there. And then Slump uses that data to then figure out where to pool up debris and whatnot. So it's a really quick and easy way to build kind of flat areas into places. And then that's our base terrain. We move down below here to masks. You can set up masks anywhere, but what masks are important so you know where to put certain props or other data. So, like, I have a default mask set up for snow level, which you can kind of play with it. I believe it's this. You can set where the snow is, and that's used by certain biomes. Can use that information to know what areas to put snow in. This one, we won't worry about that for now. I can actually show it to you though, because it might be part of it. And then we add that layer into the flow. Right here we rename it, because everything, the red things are just masks. That red thing you saw earlier. And then you rename the mask to something else that you want it. So we say mask to snow. And then over here, we're adding that snow layer into the main flow of the chain. Over here, I like to calculate like dirt areas that can be used in multiple biomes. So we basically calculate the slopes using this. Well, first we use that flow field again. Then we use a mask by feature to figure out where the slopes are, because I want dirt to be on the slopes a lot of times. And this mask by feature has several operations. One is the slope, that's the default. And then you can mask by height, by peaks and valleys, like curvature of your terrain, a certain direction. Like if you want like the north facing stuff to have like a specific, like maybe you want snow on the north faces of things, so you could mask that off. And then you can mask by occlusion. Right now we're just going to go look at the mask by slope. So you put in like what angles, minimum maximum angles that you want to put stuff at, and that creates that mask. Why am I doing two masks? Oh no. Okay, we're renaming that slope. Okay. And then we do a noise. So it's not going to be in everywhere, but we just have some more noise. You do a lot of noise with this system. And again, you can move this around so it's not the same every map, because yeah, if you don't adjust these every time, it's going to be the same noise every time. And again, we're doing like combinations of different masks to come up with like where we want dirt. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Combine the mask with the debris, which comes out of this slope. And then finally we rename that to dirt. So we have mask is renamed to dirt, and add that back into the system. So dirt there. And that's the entirety of this network. A lot of times you don't even have to touch these the masks down here, and you can put masks in anywhere in the system. It doesn't have to be down there. I just divided it up so it's a little bit more clear. Yeah, so that is our basic terrain. So let's do something new and different. We're going to delete all this. That concludes the basic tour, just when it was getting interesting. But next time we're going to build our own terrain in that network with a river, and then after that we're going to move on to the biomes. So see you next time.